One.
Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of Newly Formed Proud New York Jets fans. Uh, Glad to have everyone here along for the ride with us. I'm Nick Shine. That's Jimmy Jardine. What we expect to bring you on a weekly basis, we're going to be programming every Monday, uh, sometime on the Monday afternoon. We couldn't go live for this first episode because YouTube won't allow you for the first 72 hours, as Jimmy was explaining to me. Um, but let's start. Proud New York Jets fans started the group about 2 years ago on Facebook. Some of the other groups that Jimmy and I were a part of were too negative, and we wanted to.
Yeah.
And we had a private discussion, and I was like, you know what? I'm starting a group that's going to be more positive, more energy filled, high energy, positive energy. Same things that both of us bring in life. Me to the coaching sideline. You could search us out on Facebook, Proud New York Jets fans. We'll allow you in there, and we hope you enjoy the ride here with us. Me personally, Jet fan my whole life. Coach football, love football, breathe football, talk football. If I could bring it up, I'm bringing it up anywhere at any time. My broadcast partner here, Jimmy Jardine, he is more of the analytical person. So we got me with the coach on the sideline. We got Jimmy with the analytics in the front office. And Jimmy, tell the listeners a little something about you.
Uh, Also been a Jets fan my whole life. Everybody around me was Giants fans in the early and mid '90s, so you know I'm never one to kind of go with the flow. I always have to be the one to buck the system. So instantly, I was a Jets fan. Loved the sack exchange from back in the day. Mark Gastineau, my
Nice,
favorite
nice.
player.
You're finally wearing it, huh? Good. You
I
got it.
am. I am. We debuted it for the draft, and yeah, it's my pride and joy right here.
Nice.
Um, but growing up, I moved away from New York when I was a kid, about 14, and been living in Idaho ever since. And played football here in junior high and high school. Played. This was 20 years and like 80 pounds ago, but I played. I played cornerback, so I know that cornerback position pretty well. I know what to look for as far as prospects and things like that. What a prospective corner brings to the table. Um, but I had during my high school days, I had three Division I scholarship offers when I was playing. One to Boise State, one to Arizona, and one to Washington. And my junior year, I blew out my knee,
Oh,
and
Jesus.
yeah, not even I had coaches calling me and everything else, and then as soon as that knee injury got reported, I didn't even get a phone call. It was just a bunch of letters. Hey, best of luck.
And that was back in the day when you were on crutches for 6 months after the
Yeah,
injury.
yeah, that
Not
was
like they do now.
they had to disconnect the entire kneecap. They had to disconnect the upper and lower leg to repair the damage. And then it's that was right before they started using composite pins and stuff. So I have metal pins in my left knee, and weather changes. Oh, it's
Yeah.
murder. But from there, I never like I've seen so many people that I went to school with that just something like that would happen and they lose the ability to play the game. And I've seen so many of them nosedive. I've seen so many of them turn to drugs and crime and stuff like that. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be another story on 30 for 30. I loved the game, so I decided that I'm going to do what I can to stay in the game.
Good.
And I started researching prospects, drafts. I started doing the off-season stuff. The business side of it absolutely fascinates me. I love how, I'm not a Cowboys fan, but you got to give credit where credit is due. And Jerry Jones is an absolute magician when it comes to that salary cap and how he can make things work. I mean, Dak Prescott's getting $75 million cash this year, but he's only counting for $22 million on the cap. So you got to love that type of stuff. So
Yeah.
that's where I started to focus. So
Nice. Nice. And here we are, not even 5 minutes into our first show, and we have our first breaking news. An alert just came across that the Jaguars are signing Tim Tebow as tight end. Something he was told he should have done 8 years ago to keep his career going. Now he decides to do.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's our
Good
first
luck.
break, Jimmy. There's our first break. Who would have thought
You
it would
heard it. You heard it here first.
Yeah. 2021. Who would have thought our first breaking news would have involved Tim
Tebow. Oh my goodness. I mean, I guess he's been staying in shape from what all the reports say. So
Absolutely.
But there's a difference between being in shape and being in football shape. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I wish him the best. You don't want to see the kid get hurt or anything. I guess I can't call him a kid anymore, huh?
No. He's up there. He's got to be 30, early 30s. He was quarterback in 2012, 2011, the Broncos.
Something like that. Yeah, something like that.
All right, folks. Our first segment is going to be Take Flight. First question, or not even a question, our input on it. Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas. The imprint on their team.
Mm-hmm.
I am proud. First, let's use the key word here. I'm proud. Finally, we have respected individuals on the sideline and in the front office for the first time since Bill Parcells was running things in 98 and 99.
Yeah.
You look at the team and you look at what Joe's done already. And fans are upset. We had a bad year. We went 2-14. The record wasn't as good as everyone wanted. But the thing that drives me crazy about some Jets fans, it didn't work spending a lot of money. It didn't work trading away draft picks for veterans. What works in this league is building through the draft. And I know we've waited over 50 years. I get it. I know everyone's down. Everyone's impatient. But something Jimmy and I have been preaching to fans on in the Facebook groups, to build this the right way, it might take 3-4 years because you need to cycle those draft classes through. Now this is the second draft JD has had. The first one, I love the Becton pick. I love the Mims pick in the second. I know through the COVID year, he didn't get that time in training camp. He was injured to start the season with the hammy, didn't come in till like October. Flacco was in, and then Sam was in. So Mims, to me, gets a pass on the first year because of all, not for his play, because the kid showed he can go make some plays and he'll go attack the ball, and it's just the chemistry. And receiver, quarterback chemistry in the NFL takes a little while to develop. You got to know how a guy breaks. Maybe he goes deeper on a route. Maybe he breaks it sooner than other guys do. They got to know each other, and they got to be able to communicate. The two that keep popping into my mind, especially after this draft now with Wilson and Moore, and I'm not putting these players on this level. It's Peyton and Marvin Harrison. Those two guys are the epitome. They're the benchmark of knowing what to do, seeing an adjustment, their connectivity on the field, and they could look at each other, give a look, and they knew what was going to go down on that play. And that's something that with a quarterback and a receiver coming in early, we could see over the course of time. Now, it might take 4, 5, 6 years, but it'll get there eventually. Mm-hmm. Robert Saleh, love the dude. I coach defense. I'm Robert Saleh on the sideline. I got my other coaches yelling at me all the time to get back off the field. The high energy, the passion, and when a coach shows that, it carries over to your team, right? We always say teams take on the personality of their coach.
Sure.
This guy's personality, and I don't mean like comedic personality, his demeanor, his mentality, his approach, the humanitarian in him, the teacher in him, will have these guys playing at an elite level. And I think sooner than some expect on the defensive side. Jimmy, what says you?
I absolutely love Joe Douglas. I absolutely love Robert Saleh. What's irritating to me, man, is like Saleh does his press conference here the other day, right? And he's like, yeah, the horn blew for the end of practice. And he's like, I took my place with the team, and I was waiting for the head coach, and I was like, oh, wait, that's me. And then I'm seeing people like bashing him in the groups. Like one who's calling same old Jets, absent-minded coach hire, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, now let me ask you this. Armchair GMs out there, let me ask you something. Now, did the players in that practice, did they view that as, oh, great, we have an absent-minded coach? Or did they view that as a coach that puts himself on their level, that makes it known that he's one of them? How did the players view that? And I don't think there's a single player, like, it's the media is even trying to take it away from us. The media is trying to make it a cliche. How everybody says, I want to run through a brick wall for this guy. Like, I want to play for Robert Saleh. And they're trying to make it a cliche now. Now they're trying to say, it's a pretty cliche answer. Everybody says that. Well, they're saying it for a reason. So I love Saleh. As far as Joe Douglas, he came in in 2019 with his hands cuffed, man. He had nothing to do, nothing to go on but waiver wires. Everything was already done. Free agency was done. The draft was done. Chris Johnson allowed Mike Maccagnan to just blow through, $60+ million of salary cap
for a running back and a middle linebacker, the two positions you don't pay for in the NFL.
Right. And Joe Douglas, like, everybody complains, well, his free agent picks aren't doing anything. Well, he doesn't want to have to make free agent picks. You know what I mean? Like, he wants to bolster some spots with free agency.
And that's the thing that drives me nuts with some of our fans. Like I mentioned, he signed a lot of one-year deals last year. I think McGovern and Fant were the only two to have a deal that were longer than 1 year with guaranteed money. Everything else was, even Lewis and Van Rotten, who were still there, were able to get out of those contracts with no guaranteed money this year. Or minimal, I think, in less than $1 million, which is very good for the team. But we went with 6-year deals with Bart Scott. We did a 7-year deal with Calvin Pace. You know what it did? It was great for the first 2-3 years. And then we're all like, how the fuck do we get out of these deals?
Right.
And we really couldn't. So we had to keep either extending or restructuring. And this was before the salary cap got redone, which I'll leave more for you to cover. But you can't expect this GM to do what every other GM did and failed. You got to build it through the draft. Even this year, his second free agency, 3 years was the biggest deal, right? Lawson and Davis got 2-year deals, and those are the longest deals.
Well, and the biggest thing that people don't remember is that Joe Douglas came in and had to clean up a giant pile of shit.
Yeah.
Before he could start putting his stamp on the team. So a lot of that was, you saw everybody start leaving. You saw Leonard Williams go. You saw Le'Veon Bell go. You saw, Jamal Adams. But he's so unimportant.
That's how quick we forgot about him. That's what you think of a safety who doesn't cover anyone and doesn't commit turnovers. You forget his name.
Yeah, well, the only thing I remember about Jamal Adams is he has a career interception highlight reel on YouTube that's 7 seconds long.
I love that.
It's amazing. But no, Avery Williams, whichever. Like, I keep forgetting their names because they're not a Jet anymore.
Williamson, we traded to the Steelers.
Yeah, so Joe Douglas is putting them in positions to succeed. So he's cleaning up the stuff that Mac just let run rampant.
Yeah.
We're finally not paying Trumaine Johnson anymore. That just happened last year. That was the worst contract I've ever seen.
Horrible.
But he had to clean up. Joe Douglas had to clean up everything that Mac just let, like, it was a repossessed house that hadn't been taken care of in 25 years. And Joe Douglas has to come out and just scythe down the front yard just so you can get to the door. You know what I mean?
And an analogy that I use for that is when you're not drafting the right way, your infrastructure isn't good, right? You're not getting those cheap players for 4, possibly 5 years.
Yeah, it's a house of cards, man. Your interior is weak.
Yeah, and what Maccagnan was doing, he was taking a massive pothole on the interstate and putting like bubble gum in it and hoping that was good enough, like, to hold. Like, he was trying to patch it in the worst possible way. And the best thing that they did was, don't try to be 7 and 9 and fix it with a free agency class. Shit the bed completely. Go to 14, get rid of all the bad contracts, and start getting your rookies in. Even last year, we had 4 walk-ons, undrafted players, who who played quality time on the defense.
Yeah.
Huff and Jackson. Those are the two that stand out to me with playing time. But you got to rip the road up. And that's what he did, right? He got rid of all the bad contracts. He traded the players that didn't fit the scheme. Last year, to me, it was writing on the wall that they were going to get rid of Gase when they didn't give him free agents to work with.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting 1-year guys, and then they knew Gase wouldn't make it to the following year. The way the fan base was already turned on him, they never said it publicly, but we all knew Gase is gone. So now Douglas did the smart thing for a GM. You bite the bullet for 1 year. You know you still got 5 years left on your deal because you got an unprecedented 6-year contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, all right, now I got 4 years. You start drafting, you bring those guys, and you bring in short, controllable contracts in free agency. The cap's about to blow up, so we don't have any horrible deals on that cap when it does blow up.
We only have 17 million of dead cap right now. And after this year, the dead cap is gone. We're free and clear on all of it. So
depending on what we do with Mosley, which is the big one, right? And that's not even massive because he'll only be about 6 million, I think. So we don't
7.5 this year, and I think he goes up to 15 next year.
Okay. So we're looking at a team that is coming up. Yeah. And it's not going to be done overnight. Hey, we're 2-14, right? With no talent. Like we had probably the worst roster in the NFL, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you go to 6 or 7 wins this year. Arguable. We're in the conversation with it, right?
Sure. I'm not saying we're in the top half of the NFL, but I think
last year's team.
Yeah, last year's team. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I don't think we're in the top half at all. I think we're probably. I have a hard time answering that because of the fact that the coaching staff was so inept, top to bottom, that I think the roster was far better than what we saw on the field because that coaching staff was the worst in NFL history, period. Like, I've done the numbers, and even though we won one more game than Kotite did in 96, the stats were worse than the Kotite Jets. Absolutely worse.
Yeah. Well, and let's hope the same thing happens, right? What happened then? Parcells comes in first year, 9-7.
Yep. So
they brought in Mawai, they brought in Martin, and then they go 9-7 in that first year. Oh no, they didn't even bring Martin in that year. They had they still had oh man, the guy who took over after Freeman McNeil. What was his name? Morrell? All right, it'll come to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
But we went 9-7, and then they brought in Curtis and Mawai for the 98 season and went 12-4. Yeah, if you got the laptop there, check 97 New York Jets running back.
Going right now.
But you look at Joe now. All right, we brought in the better coaching staff, even though Salah's unproven as a head coach.
Adrian Morrell.
All right, I did have it.
Keyshawn, Fred Baxter, Neil O'Donnell still quarterback in there.
Yeah, $25 million deal for a guy who blew the Super Bowl. And $25 million back there was the highest paid quarterback in the league. He got like a 5-year, $25 million deal. And in 1997, that was massive.
Mm-hmm.
But you paid him $25 million for losing the Super Bowl. Congratulations.
Morrell had 300 rushes for 1,086 yards and 7 touchdowns.
Yeah. So we don't have a marquee back. You don't need one in this system. Yeah, this system is shown by committee. Now, we talked the other day on the phone, and what do we say? You might have a running back who has 16 carries one week, and then maybe only 3 the next week because the matchup doesn't fit. And that's the thing about our offensive and defensive schemes is that there's a lot of interchangeable pieces.
Right.
Safeties now playing linebackers. You got safeties who can play corner. You got guys who can cover. You got guys who can run. You got guys who can tackle. You might not have the marquee name, but the 49ers didn't. I mean, they had Sherman, but you look at that secondary when he went to the Super Bowl. There's 3rd, 4th round guys starting, and they're nickelback and they're corner. This scheme doesn't need elite cornerbacks in round 1. And you and I talked about that at length during the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
You don't draft a premier pick. Guys like, we want Horn, we want Surtain, we want Farley. And you and me are like, no! You don't waste a premium pick on an elite man corner to bury him in a cover 3 zone scheme 67% of the time.
I just, at this point, you spend the draft picks to either bolster your new franchise quarterback or keep him upright, and that's what we did.
Absolutely. Those 4 offensive picks in a row, when you look at
first time since 1983.
And what are they? A guy in front, a guy behind, and a guy to my side.
Yep.
What are the best things for a young quarterback? A reliable run game and a guy in the slot who's closest to you, who can get open quick. They still have Herndon at tight end, who I think should revitalize his career in this system. Because you look at what Kittle does in San Francisco with catch and run ability. I could see Herndon being that. And if not, you got a young undrafted guy who's tall, thin, and can run really well, kind of like those elite tight ends now.
Yeboah's good at receiving. He's a decent blocker. He needs to improve some technique. But for a wide zone run blocking scheme, he's going to be perfect. I see Herndon as more of a complementary piece. I still think we're going to probably target a tight end in the next couple of years, early. Just depending on who. I really, really, really wanted Pat Freiermuth. I really wanted Pat Freiermuth. But I wouldn't, looking back on it now, I wouldn't have sacrificed Elijah Moore for Pat Freiermuth. I think Elijah Moore is going to be absolutely lethal. Absolutely lethal.
Agreed. And the great thing is, like I mentioned earlier, they get to come up together.
Yeah.
There's no waiting for the other guy to get drafted or wondering who it's going to be. They're already working together in the rookie camp. They're going to have more chemistry than he will with the veterans when they get to the OTAs, depending on who shows. But that's another topic. That's another discussion for another day. But yeah, let's switch it up here. Let's do this season a free agency recap. What's your favorite move of this free agency?
Well, I blow my own horn on this one all the time because I called the Corey Davis pick in February on Weapons Hot, and so it's recorded. It's out there.
Right. I don't doubt you, brother. I don't doubt you.
But I called that. I absolutely loved it. Like, everybody was like just losing their minds. We can get Allen Robinson. We can get Chris Godwin. And I'm like, first and foremost, no, we didn't. Like, I knew that Allen Robinson was going to get franchise tagged. There was no question, because the Bears their whole offense was just crumbling. So they have to keep him, and they have to exercise that tag. I hate franchise tags, but they had to do it.
Yeah.
And so I get that from a team standpoint.
And it makes Chris, now it'll help the rookie quarterback, right?
Oh, absolutely. And we can talk about Fields in a minute, but I definitely have some stuff to say about him.
Okay.
But when they talk about Godwin, they're like, well, if we can't get Robinson, let's get Godwin. And these fans, like, bless their heart, man. I love them all.
They try,
I love you all
right? They try.
But you don't just – free agency is not a wish list. You don't just get to go pick who you want and bring them on in. What do you think? Like, Chris Godwin is really going to leave the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers to come to the Jets?
After they brought everybody else back, for what, 2-3 more million? Big deal. You make marketing. You make that in playoff money, right?
He's going to get massively increased endorsements because he's a Super Bowl champion now. He can take an on-field pay cut if they needed him to, and they can repeat. And he's going to get all the bonuses. He can structure a deal with them to have playoff bonuses and stuff. He can still make more than what he did. Absolutely. So there's a ton of different ways he could do it. But looking at all these guys, and the same with Thuney and Lindsley, it was like, I'm sure I would love to have Thuney and Lindsley on our offensive line. I absolutely would. But you just have to remember, what are we trying to do here? And Joe Douglas is going to want to draft some of these people. I really thought he was going to go Creed Humphrey as well. I would have loved to have seen that with Creed Humphrey, AVT, and Beckton on that left side. Middle to left, solid, done. But I think that I started looking, because I just got tired of hearing about Allen Robinson and everybody. So I was just like, who else is out there? And I looked over, saw Corey Davis, And I'm like, I started looking at his stat line, and he had some drop issues in college. He had some drop issues his first year in the NFL. But as each year that he was in the NFL, his negative stats were decreasing and his positive stats were increasing. I mean, the guy played 14 games and had 986 yards receiving.
Yeah.
So, one
And he's
more.
an impact player too. It's
Yeah,
not. He's an
just
impact player. He'll hit a home run.
just one extra pass in that 14 games is 1,000-yard receiver.
Yeah.
So I loved him. I loved his story. Why he wears number 84, which if Ryan Griffin is still on the roster, Ryan Griffin better be giving up 84. But he wears 84 for his brother who passed away. I love the story. I love how humble the guy is. I love how down to earth he is. And I think there's value in that, from bringing in a number 2 receiver to a team where he would essentially be the number 1.
Yeah.
I like that humility and I like that work ethic. So Corey Davis was probably my favorite. Loved Carl Lawson. The sleeper one, and I'll pass it off to you, Nick. My favorite pick outside of the obvious receiving and edge rush, Justin Hardy from New Orleans. That kid is an absolute grinder. There is nothing that is going to hold him back.
No, and for those who don't know, he's a special teamer. He's a gunner, listed as a cornerback, but he knows he makes his money on special teams.
He knows he makes his money on special teams, but he also said that he's going to prove that he can play on defense too. So look for that to happen, especially in this system. Because
got speed, he's got heart, he's got passion.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Robert Salah guy. So that's someone to keep an eye on going into camp.
And I think he's going to end up being utilized, because I see the Jets running. They'll have a base 4-3, but I think you can really expect a 4-2-5 hybrid to be run quite a bit.
Which is what the Niners ran a lot too, right? And you don't have to put in those extra linebackers to blitz when you can get home with 4.
Yeah.
So you can play more on the back end, because in zone, the more you guys have in coverage, the better your zone is, right? Your space that you have back there.
The less time the opposing quarterback has to throw, the better your zone coverage remains. So that front 7 is going to be vital as well. And it's that group's looking strong too.
Absolutely. I don't want to get too much into scheme now. That we'll touch on that in a future show. Sure. My free agent, I told you I coach defense. It's Carl Lawson. It's a no-brainer. For those who not too sure about the player, he has a great get-off. He has great speed off the outside, which the first thing that tells you, Quinnen Williams will not see as many double teams. When you got a guy on the edge who can bring speed and get off quicker, you're going to open up your middle pass rush. You're going to open it up for Quinnen. You're going to open it up for Rankins. You're going to help the guy on the other side of the line. And for years, Richardson, Muhammad Wilkerson, Leonard, all of our pass rushers came up the middle, right?
Yeah.
We never had, even when we had a good pass rush, they were all big, grunt, hardworking guys. We never had elite speed since John Abraham. Pace was a grinder too. He wasn't a speed guy. Mo Lewis wasn't great with speed. So we haven't had a guy outside of John Abraham in 25 years with like that. You can just say, this guy puts his hand in the grass, he's going, and he can get around you with ease. So Carl, even though the sacks aren't there, the pressures are, the hits are. He may come around the outside, not get credit for the sack, but he forces the quarterback to step up in the pocket, and then Quinnen or one of the other guys capitalizes because the quarterback moved up into him. It's going to be a complete unit. I still want next year's draft. Let's pray Seattle goes 3-14, and that pick is early, and we can get Thibodeau from Oregon, and we can get another stud to put out there with Lawson. I don't want to get too far ahead, but I hope Russell Wilson just said, I want out of this team. And they
come on, Russ, hold out.
Come on, Russ.
Hold out.
Let's hope his wife gives him headaches.
I would actually, as the GM, I know you just said that you don't spend a premium pick on a corner, but I think any defense is going to need at least one lockdown corner, lockdown number 1.
Say his name. I know you love him. I'll let you say his name.
Derek Stingley Jr., baby.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a difference maker. He's been the number 1 rated cornerback in college since his freshman year.
Yeah, he was better. I watched all of his tape on his freshman year. Was Jeff Okudah over the last 5 years? Jeff Okudah was the talked about cornerback coming out from 2020.
He went number 3 to the Lions, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And he's got a big corner.
And I could tell you, I can say confidently that Derek Stingley Jr.'s freshman year already puts him above Jeff Okudah.
Nice.
Probably the best cornerback in the last 5 to 7 years.
And we know we're going to be better. So, like I said, we have to hope for Seattle to have a down year. So we get a top 5 pick with them because we're getting out of that spot. We're not there no more. Bye-bye. All right. We recapped free agency. Let's recap the draft. I'll start this one off. Because much like you called Corey Davis, and I have been going nuts. I did a podcast with my buddy Lamar and Mel over on IOW. I did my own round 1 mock, and it's on film from 5 hours before the draft.
Mm-hmm.
The New York Jets are going to trade up and get Elijah Vera Tucker.
Good call.
And you need that guy. People are like, I can't believe we gave up 2 threes. Fuck the 2 threes. You took the Jamal trade. You got to, after getting the quarterback with our own pick, you're basically looking at this as a Jamal trade. You got a potential Pro Bowl, all-pro type of guard. Number 1 guard in this class by far. There's number 2 isn't even there. And you're plugging him in next to Becton. And Becton got better when Pat Elflein came in last year. We ran from.
I wish we didn't let him go.
I know. He ran for over 200 yards. We ran for over 200 yards as a team against the Raiders. And what you watch that film, it was stretch, run left, stretch, run left, stretch, run left with Adams and Ty Johnson. Mm-hmm. And I think one ran for 112, the other ran for like 93. But if you are LaFleur, you watch the film of that game, and you have to be excited that you have Tucker and Becton, 2 guys who are going to pancake and be able to get out to get to the second level and take out linebackers and corners and safeties. You got to be licking your chops. If you're in the running back room, you're looking at these 2 guys in front of you. You're like almost eye rolling when they call a run to the right. I know we're going to have to do it, but you want to run behind those 2 boys often. You're going to make your money running behind them. And like you and I have pumped. We also wanted Creed Humphrey.
I did so bad.
Now, maybe McGovern will be better with a better guard next to him. Maybe we'll be stronger up the middle now, more consistent.
He will be.
Run-wise, and let's be real, it helps Wilson too because it'll help with the play. You roll them out that way because those guys can both run in space and make blocks in space. And the highlight throw of Wilson's pro day was what? Rolling out to the left behind Tucker. So his marquee throw from the pro day was going to our strength.
Mm-hmm.
I know we got some good depth. I know the guys in the kid from Auburn and the Florida State, the guys convert to Hamsilada. Am I saying it right? I don't have a ring.
Hamza Nasruddin.
Nasruddin. Okay, I can buy. All right, Nasruddin. I love those later picks. I think those are guys to definitely keep an eye on. I know you're big on.
Nasruddin's the first round talent too. It's there was
right.
What's that?
He tore the ACL?
Yeah, I think there was an injury, and then the COVID year kind of screwed up a lot of the film, but he's definitely a first-round talent. And I think the kid from Oregon State, I forgot what his name was.
Got Carter from Duke. We got Pinnock from Pitt. Was he was drafted, or was he one of the
Hamilcar Rashed Jr., edge rusher out of Oregon State.
Yes, I took
that kid. Is nasty.
Yeah, I don't get how he fell.
But the highlight, Nick, and this is a lot of people don't even know this, and this is probably the gem. This is the diamond in the rough for the New York Jets draft and their undrafted free agency combined. Tristan Hogue, guard out of BYU. Not many people know this, but coming out of high school, he was the number 1 ranked center in high school. Nation. He was scholarshiped by Notre Dame, signed and everything with Notre Dame, but he wasn't getting the playoff, or he wasn't getting the playing time. So he went through the transfer portal and went to BYU
Nice.
to save some eligibility.
Nice. Good little nugget there.
Tristan Hogue, keep an eye on that guy. And remember, a lot of these best offensive linemen, Matt Paradis out of Boise State, Corey Linsley, these are 5th and 6th round picks. So it's not out of the question to see a good guard / center come out of undrafted free agency. But Tristan Hogue, keep an eye on that kid.
All right. Good name to keep an eye on. All right. What's your least favorite move of the offseason? Could be draft, could be coaching signing or letting someone go. Anything. What's your least favorite move the Jets did?
Well, we have to have a least favorite because even if they're all awesome, they're still tiered.
Yeah. Even if you like all of them, there's one you like the least. All right, there you go. What's your least favorite move of the off season? Is that better?
Yeah. And it is the kid we drafted at 207, the D tackle.
Marshall?
Yeah, Marshall.
His athleticism score is off the charts.
It's such a hard question because, like I said, Salah's coaching staff picks, you can't hate on any of them. They kept the one guy from the previous regime that did any sort of good in Brant Boyer for special teams. Okay. And his offensive coordinator selections, I love Jeff Ulbrich from Atlanta, even though Atlanta the defense wasn't really very good, let's just say. But Ulbrich was a positional coach over there, not a D coordinator. So I love the picks, but I think that pick at 207, I didn't hate it because obviously depth. I'm a big depth guy. If I can rotate all my guys through and keep legs fresh for the fourth quarter, I'm happy. But I think I would have rather had them sign Jose Borregales, the kicker out of Miami.
Yeah, and I know you've been big on him.
So that was probably my least favorite. Like I said, I don't hate the pick, and you can't even aside from the pick itself. It's a fact of the matter is it's a 206th pick or 207th pick or whatever, and it's a 6th round pick. Like I'm not going to get my panties in a bunch over it.
Yeah,
but
exactly. But you're looking at a big guy who can run. You can probably contribute on special teams as a blocker and then get downfield as a runner because he has that strength for it. And who knows? Maybe he develops, and with his athleticism, maybe he develops into a nice situational guy for us, in year 2 or 3.
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. Like I said, it's hard to pick something that you didn't really like, because we're finally moving in the right direction, and I think that's why fans are still complaining because we've been going the wrong way for so long that when you're finally starting to move in the right direction, it's kind of like if you keep getting smacked in the face, well, that day that you're not being smacked in the face, you still kind of flinch about it,
Yeah.
It's kind of bred
and
in
that's
you,
us as Jets fans, right? That describes Jets fans with how we've been throughout the years.
So I think that people just need to just take a breath and let this process play out because they're doing a damn good job.
Yeah. It's like we talked about with launching the show. It's time to start being proud New York Jets fans. I think we have the structure, we have the leadership, and it's something that you and I both said throughout the last season and into the off season. This is Joe Douglas's organization.
Yeah.
The Johnsons own it, but let's be real. He is running shit. And they finally have a guy in there where the owners can shut the fuck up and let this guy run the team and run the organization, and then we can all be proud. Because, Woody put his hands on it here and there. And that's part of being a young owner, right? You've been the boss your whole life. You've been the CEO your whole life. You tell people to do something, they jump. But when you're getting into sports and you don't know shit about it, you just sign checks. Look at Robert Kraft. Robert Kraft doesn't know a fucking thing about football. He made a bold trade. He gave up number 1 draft picks to go and get a coach. And people killed him for that when it first happened. but now he looks like a genius. But all he does is sit back and he let Belichick run everything for 20 years. And it made him look smart. Now you see Woody Johnson and Chris. They get the coach. They already had the GM. They stayed off. They let the GM run the interviews. And they specifically said, you report to Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas reports to us. And now they're backing off. And you can already see the wins haven't come, but you can see the culture change has hit already.
Sure.
And that it's making us proud, right? Like, we know, if you're a Jet fan, you know we got a guy. Hey, he's put #1 picks into the front line. His 2 drafts that he's run.
Yeah.
Comes from the school of Ozzie Newsome, and the school of Ozzie was what? Draft
Built from the interior
and offensive linemen early and often.
Build the trenches.
Absolutely. You look at teams who've won the Super Bowl, the Giants with their 2 wins, the Buccaneers, the 49ers were getting there. You win by hitting the quarterback and protecting the quarterback. Patrick Mahomes looked like Sam Darnold in this year's Super Bowl, right? I thought I was.
Nope. Can't hear you.
All right.
Oh, there we go.
My video cut out for a second. NJ vaccination appointments calling me. Leave me alone. I'm no lab rat. Get off my damn phone. I lost my train of thought there with that popping in. But you look where we are.
You're talking about Mahomes.
Yeah. I watched the Jets in the Super Bowl already. I'm 42 years old. People say the Jets never made the Super Bowl. Nonsense. I watched the Jets on offense in the Super Bowl. And now it's a joke, but let's think about it for a sec. Let's do a quick comparison. You lost 4 offensive starters on the line. You have all-world tight end, an all-world wide receiver, an all-world quarterback, an all-world offensive coordinator or coach, play caller, and Andy Reid. Timing was off. Why is the timing off?
Both tackles were out.
Yeah, both your tackles got injured. Osemele went out in the middle of the year. He tore 2 legs, I think.
And I think one of their guards was out too.
He opted out for the year. Yeah. But you look now, the guy ran for almost 500 yards scrambling for his life in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, before line of scrimmage.
Yes, that's insane. And we watch the Jets because when you don't have a line, you can't throw. I tell my Pop Warner team this. If you don't block, you can't run. If you don't block, you can't throw. If you can't block, you don't score. And no matter what level of football you're playing, flag or NFL, it all comes down to the line. 100%. Those who can protect the quarterback have a better chance to succeed, especially nowadays where the Ty Law rule comes in. You can't bump guys. Everyone gets a free release. These little guys like Tyreek Hill now can get off the line unimpeded. And back in the day, they would put Ty Law on Tyreek Hill, and he wouldn't get off the line. Why? It would fuck up the timing. The league didn't like that. They changed the rules. And now guys get free starts, basically. They're unimpeded off the line 90% of the time because of the rules and the way the league wants it. So
I love
these weapons. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, because you mentioned Peyton and Marvin Harrison as the comparison. And again, I'm the same as you. I'm not putting Wilson or Moore on this pedestal yet, but based on what I see from them, I see a Mahomes and Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
And the reason being is Tyreek is a small, shifty speed demon. Elijah Moore, small, shifty speed demon, but he's strong. One of my favorite highlights is if the corner plays off of him and gives him space, he can cut in and out before the corner can react.
Yeah.
So you have to play up. You have to press him.
Yeah.
But he has such fast hands.
Yeah,
he has such fast hands within that 5 yards. He can get that first step and check you real fast and get you pushed off and go wherever he wants to go.
And if you give him that 5 yards, he can make his first cut while you're standing still, basically, and then break the other way, and you have no chance of running with him.
Yeah, double move. As soon as you bite on that first move, he's gone. He's gone. Then with Wilson, I see his side-to-side lateral movement and his ability to throw against his body and off schedule and off keel. You know, he can change his arm angles. He can do all this. That's Patrick Mahomes to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if we give him a line, I think everybody else is going to see it too. Froggy.
My
Sorry.
play that I'm looking forward
You
to.
yell at my dog.
You know, you get in that running situation, you get in that too tight, and you got more in the slot. There's one safety back. You run them in, and then you run them out, and you run that flag route from the slot, and you throw that over the shoulder out towards the sideline pass, where it's just him one-on-one. Maybe you just touch your feet down in bounds, or maybe you catch it on the run and break it. But if you got that safety sitting in the middle of the field, I'm looking for more in the slot right away. I'm always counting how many guys are in the box, and then in the NFL broadcast, your safety is usually off the screen. So I'm counting for 9 or 10. How many do I see? If I see 10 up, man, I'm just praying for more one-on-one taking off.
Yeah,
I'm very excited to watch these two young players grow.
And now, he can do in the slot. He can shift out to the wide out and get lost in the crowd.
Yeah,
like he has the ability to get away, man. I'm super excited.
Yeah, and we're not expecting Pro Bowls year one. We're not expecting record rookie seasons. We're not expecting a Justin Jefferson impact. But we want to see this. Like I tell my football team, you want to see growth. You start off here, start getting better week to week. Yeah. You know, maybe the first couple of weeks, maybe they miss that adjustment. Maybe they don't throw the route the right way. But the second time, let's improve. Let's get better as the season goes on. You know, I don't think it's crazy to think just 6 or 7 wins this year is a good season. You know, maybe, we're competitive more often, but let's be watchable, right? Like, let's be a team that we can be proud to watch. And I think that's where we're going to be, because scheme-wise, we got 2 fantastic schemes. Talent-wise, we're not in the bottom 5 of the league anymore. We're not down there. We're getting up. So you got the scheme, you got the talent, you got coaching, you got kids who care. And I'm gonna go right now with our landing segment, and I'm gonna go with my let it out moment. We're drafting more quality people. Just as we're drafting quality players, we're drafting quality people. This year's draft, last year's draft, free agents, we're drafting guys who are what? A lot of captains, right? When you draft men that don't need to be led, you don't have to worry about your team leading itself.
Right.
We don't have a Pac-Man Jones. We don't have an issue guy that we got to worry about. We're drafting high quality characters as well as high quality players. And it's a change, because we've had some head cases, right? My kid joked about Sheldon Richardson when he doing the 110 in the car with a gun, drugs, and like a 9-year-old kid a few years ago. Remember?
Yeah.
I don't think we have those. I think we have guys that when they leave the building, I don't think the coaches are going to have to be, or the front office is going to have to be staring at their phone, like worried about an alert coming in about one of the guys they have on the team. So,
and the Quinnen arrest was nonsense to begin with.
Yeah.
Miscommunication, but
absolutely. And it showed with the court date. They threw it out there like there was nothing here. We apologize. So we'll be proud on the field, and then we'll be proud off the field. And basically, you shouldn't have to say this about adults or grown people, but you don't have to worry about what they're doing at night, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead. What do you got for your let it out moment?
I want to put, obviously I'm not going to name names, but I want to put Facebook Jets fans on blast, because I have done, thousands of hours of research over the years.
I'm sure it shows in your post. For those who don't know Jimmy's got very detailed, very analytical posts. He doesn't throw out opinions. He doesn't throw out feelings. He's factual based. He's even got me a couple times when I was a little amped up about a topic. He had to reel me in. So that's where Jimmy's coming from with this comment. Go ahead. I give it to you.
Yeah, we disagreed on the Justin Fields thing, but
our biggest headbutt though was Sam Darnold. We're not going to get. That's a topic for another day.
We'll
I'm going to dedicate a show to that one, because
But I did also call the Darnold trade, and I called where he was going to go. So,
and I'm going to take half credit. I wanted us to trade number 2 to Carolina. So we traded with the right team. We traded for the right position. We just dealt the wrong way. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Go ahead.
No, you did the thing, because I did the same thing for my draft. So like I named a few of the correct players to the teams that drafted them. But I missed a lot as far as like the player to the right team. But I did get 28 out of 32 on the first round.
Nice.
Players.
I was listening to your podcast the other day. There's no way you had Turner to the Saints. That had to be one of the 4.
No, that was one of the 4.
You were naming it during the show, and I'm like, I watched the recording, and I was like, Turner to the Saints. I know he knows his stuff, but there's no way he had Turner to the Saints.
Let me see. I'll actually pull it up real quick. But I think I want to let these guys know that I have done so much research on all of this stuff. Oh, I deleted it.
It was Leatherwood. It was Turner.
Jamin Davis was another one.
And did you have Najee Harris?
I did. I called Najee to the Steelers.
Joe Tryon?
That had to have been the other one. But I've done so much work on this from a very deep level, from multiple angles, and I can tell lazy takes when I see them. And when you call Saleh an absent-minded coach, that's a lazy take. You don't understand the game. You don't understand the camaraderie of a team. You've never been on the field. I can instantly tell. So you can't argue with me about that, because I know. And when you say that Joe Douglas has been an average GM at best because he does decent on his drafts, but his free agencies suck, you don't understand the game either, because we're not building through free agency. We're stopgapping through free agency.
Yep.
So you're not looking for massive upgrades to every position through free agency. So stop it.
Yep.
So my let it out is just, if you may think you understand because you listen to Kuiper or Greeny or these guys, but you don't know shit. The real people that really know are the ones that have the passion to dive into this stuff without being paid for it. Do you think Mel Kiper has actually looked at his own draft in the last 20 years? No, he hasn't. He's got a team of researchers that are just feeding him information. And he's like, okay, I'll go with that one. You know, like when you have people like Nick, people like myself, people like Ryan from Jets Talk, Green Bean, Matt O'Leary, these YouTubers out there, we dive into this stuff with a passion for our team, not from a general I need to get paid standpoint. So listen to the people that know. Stop thinking that just because they're on ESPN that they know what they're talking about, and just trust this process. Let it play out.
Absolutely. All right. Closing up our first episode here. We just want to thank you, all of you, for listening, for viewing, for watching us on YouTube. Please subscribe, comment, rate.
And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload or a live stream.
There you go. This is my first. There you go. I'll let you do the YouTube promo for that. You're better. This is my first. Special thank you to Jimmy.
Hey, man.
He's more experienced on YouTube, and he helped set up the channel. He set up the channel. He did all the back end stuff to make today possible. You know, we spoke. I gave him my vision, and he's like, "I got it. No worries." So special thank you to Jimmy for taking time out of his day to do all this. Jets fans, thank you. Be loud, be proud, New York Jets fans.
Have a good one, guys. As always, Jet up.